Hey everyone, okay, I've been messing with this camera for like 20 minutes, so I'm just gonna stop messing with it and start. Anyways, moving on to the actual topic of this video. Like I said, I haven't made a video in months. You would think that I would have actually done more and put out more content on my channel. That does not give me any money, but it's still fun to do. I have no excuse for not doing anything else. I don't know if anybody's missed me, but last night I got a wave of inspiration to do a video. I feel like this video is going to be the most on-brand video of me that I've probably ever done on my channel, because I'm constantly wanting to do some kind of like random rant video, an analysis video, and I'm always wanting to do something like that. I'm constantly like analyzing like the movies I watch and the TV shows I watch and like the characters in them and everything. So last night I was scrolling through Instagram, as I do, you know, 12 hours a day, and I came across this, I don't know if you would call it a meme or what, but I came across this and it bothered me, and I'll just show you. So it says, "Good night to everyone except Nate from The Devil Wears Prada because he thought his birthday was more important than Andy's career." I'll put a picture of it here or something if you cannot see that. But that got me thinking, because The Devil Wears Prada is one of my favorite movies of all time. I would say it would be in my top 10. Don't know the other movies that would be in that top 10, but The Devil Wears Prada would be in that top 10. So I've seen so many like memes and just random posts like that talking about how Andy's boyfriend and her friends were so horrible to her in that movie, and how they never supported her and they like held her back and all this other stuff. I mean, I kind of studied this in school. I have a part of my degree is actually like media studies. So I took classes which specifically analyzed the like specific things in movies and such. And so and I'm just a naturally observant and analytical person, and so whenever I watch a movie I cannot help myself from thinking about like just more than the plot, if you know what I mean. So as you all may or may not know, there is actually a book that The Devil Wears Prada was based on. I started reading it, I own it, and I also own the sequel, but I never finished it, like many of the things that I read and just do not finish. So I mean, I could say so many things about this movie. I could give a whole analysis. I could write a thesis on this movie, basically. But what the topic of this video is going to be is, like what I was saying, how Andy, the main character, Anne Hathaway's character, is not the victim in this movie, and I will give you several reasons why, and I am very open to discussion. I would love to hear your thoughts in the comments. These are my thoughts, and this is my analysis of this movie. And I see things on the internet sometimes on Instagram, and it's like somebody says something and then everybody just gets on the bandwagon of that same sentiment. And I was reading through the comments of that one post, and there were a lot of people with that thinking that way, and like a few people who shared the same thoughts as me. But I literally ranted. I wrote this literally 3-page thing on my computer last night. No, not 3. Yep, 3 pages, because that's just the person that's just who I am. And I just really, I think I've been wanting to make this video for a long time actually, and I just haven't. There's a lot of like discussion type videos that I want to make, so please let me know if you like this, if you would like to hear more of my thoughts on other things. I really want to start making videos again. I kind of like really miss it. So if you have any ideas of things for me to do, I don't know if you can tell, but this is a new room. I changed everything in my room. The last video that I did, I had it even different, and so I'm speaking to you on my vanity right now. I got a new dresser. I have become a plant lady. That is who I've become. So if you want a tour of my plants or something, I literally am underneath one right now. That's a basic pothos up there. In Spanish it's like called a malanga. But anyways, on to the actual, this is what I do in my discussion videos. Like every single book review that I do, I just ramble and ramble and I don't shut up. Okay, so I have 1, 2, 3, 4, about 4 or 5 different points that I want to talk about on why I don't think that Andy was really the victim, the way that people set her out to be, and why her boyfriend and her friend group weren't like the worst people on the planet. So we all know The Devil Wears Prada if you're watching this video. So Andy, forgot her last name, she is I don't know exactly how old she is, but she moved to New York to get into journalism. She's like in her early 20s, I would say. Like, I wouldn't say any older than 25. So in the beginning, Andy is somebody that we can all relate to. You know, she's just like a normal girl. She's trying to get a job, and, you know, she goes into the job interview and is completely overwhelmed by this, you know, woman that is Miranda Priestly. And I will talk about this later on, but what I love about this movie is that Andy goes through such a metamorphosis. But so the first thing that I want to talk about is that first scene when Andy is going to have dinner with her two friends and her boyfriend, and she has gifts for them. So at this point, it's been, I would say, a couple months at least that she's been working there. She's a little bit more adapted to the role. She's a little bit more comfortable in her role as being Miranda's assistant, and she's a little bit just more comfortable with her job. And you can even tell because that's after Stanley Tucci. God, I love him. He gave her that little makeover, so she has her hair all done. She's all cute now, and she's I guess appropriate for the office. And so she comes to dinner. She gives her friends all these great gifts that she got from her job. And so she gives the one from the phone, her other from the purse, whatever, and she's telling them, she's like, yeah, I'm really learning about the industry, and, you know, fashion isn't, you know, there's more that meets the eye that in the fashion industry. She's telling her friends about all these articles that she's read, and, you know, it's really great. And so during that dinner, Miranda calls her because Miranda does not understand boundaries, and her friends just start messing with her a little bit. They don't like break her phone. They don't stop her from answering the call. They're just messing around with her a little bit, you know, like friends do. And so Andy gets really upset at her friends doing this, and she calls them a mean name, and her friends are kind of like taken back by how she's acting, because this is not usually how she is. So with this, people would say, oh, they were being such dicks to her, and she was giving them free gifts. Like, I'm sorry, but when you are friends with somebody, you give gifts to your friends. It's not something that you know, give in order to, like, hopefully get something in return. That's not the purpose of giving, especially to your friends. And her friends were obviously not doing anything malicious. They were not taunting her in any way that was like super over the line. They were just messing with her, and after they saw how she reacted, they never did anything like that again. In the rest of the movie, they never really get in the way of her, you know, answering the call or being there for Miranda 24/7, literally. And so it bothers me because there's this scene of her friends just acting like, you know, any friends would, and people demonize them when they obviously just didn't understand the gravity of the situation of being Miranda's assistant. And like I said, they never did anything like it again. They never crossed the line with her again, because they understood at that point that her job was very serious even when she wasn't at work. So they never did anything like that again. I did write that it was funny because she's opening her eyes and becoming more open-minded to the fashion industry and what it means to actually be a designer or to work in that industry. And it's funny, it's ironic because, I don't know why I'm talking with my hands so much. It's ironic because while she is opening her eyes to the fashion industry, she's kind of closing down at this point with her friends and with her boyfriend. She's kind of like, she almost has like a superiority complex to them, because her boyfriend is like, he works in a kitchen, her friend is an artist, the other friend, I forget what the guy was, but like she kind of is starting to have the superiority complex, which I don't like, number one, especially with your friends, because they're your friends and you should not be acting like that. But this is where that's the moment that I kind of first started to see the change in Andy's character, and I don't think her friends were at fault for the way she acted, in my opinion. So the next thing I wanted to talk about where Andy was not the victim. So we all know that scene where Miranda wants her to go drop off something to that guy, what was his name? Christian Thompson. That, you know, supermodel looking dude with like the wavy blonde hair, whatever. And so she goes to that party, she meets him, he's very interested in her. She's like, no, I have a boyfriend, whatever. So towards the end of the movie, after Andy has already been involved as being Miranda's assistant, she's already been, you know, in the industry. She kind of knows what's going on. So she goes to her best friend's art show, and Christian Thompson is there. So she goes to the back because her friend tells her, she's like, go to the back and then move forward. So she's back there. All of a sudden, this guy shows up to the art show. Obviously was there to seek her out, because why else would he be at some random person's art show if that wasn't even fashion based, first of all. So he gets there, he sees her, he starts flirting with her, like really, like he gets really close to her. It's very, like, it's a very sensual flirting moment, and Andy does not shy away from him. She does not tell him to not do that. She doesn't remind him that she has a boyfriend. She's very into the flirting, and so her friend sees this, gets very offended. They walk outside, and Andy's like, well, what's your problem? And she's like, by the way, I'm going to Paris. And she's like, and her friend basically calls her out on what she just saw. She's like, you know, you have a boyfriend who's pretty great, and basically she's telling, like I said, she just called her out, and you just could see that she was not okay with seeing her friend blatantly and publicly flirt with this other man, when she literally has a boyfriend. And then in that same scene, right after she has this conversation with her friend, Nate actually shows up to the show, because she, you know, that is also his friend, and he's like, oh hey, like just being normal. And he overhears the conversation about how she's going to Paris, and he's like, oh, you're going to Paris? And he reacts like any normal person would, because he just didn't know. Andy has kind of cut off real communication with him this entire time. And so she like gets all offended too, and she's like, oh, well, are you gonna make me feel guilty or make me feel bad or something too? And he's like, no, I just didn't know that you were going. I would love to talk about this. And so they kind of get into a fight, and it just sucked because Andy basically was called out on her bad behavior, and instead of correcting that with her best friend and with her boyfriend, the people that are supposed to be there and that she's supposed to love the most, she gets really offended and tries to feel victimized, and feels, and I feel like she had that reaction because she knew that she was in the wrong, and she just didn't care. And that was the whole point, is that she just didn't care about, you know, the people that have been there for her since the beginning and who have been supporting her. Before I get to the big one, I want to talk about the part that everybody seems to be so up in arms about, and it is Nate's birthday. So we have that scene near the end. Andy's been working there for several months, if not, I would say like 9 months in at the very least, is what I would think. And so the night of Nate's birthday, so her and her friends had planned a birthday party for her boyfriend, just a small get together at their house. I think it was at their house, I don't remember, but it was just a small get together for Nate's birthday. And so we see Andy at her job. She's at her desk. She has a gift for her boyfriend. She's all ready to go home. She knew that this was happening. She's ready to go home and celebrate with her boyfriend and her friends. And that is the same day that Miranda tells Andy, I need you to come to this gala or whatever it was. I don't remember the actual occasion. But she's like, I need you to come with me and be my second assistant. Which is dumb because she already had an assistant. Why do you need 2 assistants? But anyways, she needed her to attend this thing for her. And so Andy, you know, forever doesn't have a choice, even though she is making these choices, and she realizes that at the end, but I'll get into that in a minute. So Andy chooses to basically go with Miranda and be her assistant for that night. She doesn't make it home until very late. She misses the party. She even sees that Thompson guy there before she goes home. And I don't remember if that was before or after. I think that was right before the part where she flirts with him. I think. But regardless, he was there, and she decides to go home. So she goes home. She has a cupcake. She's like, I'm so sorry. And you can already tell with how she says it and her body language. She's very cautious in how she enters the room because she already knows that he's going to be upset. Wouldn't you be upset if your significant other missed your birthday because of a last minute, thing that her boss asked? Doesn't matter how, what that job is. You're still going to be a little bit upset about it. And so that is a very justified reaction and feeling on his part to be upset that your girlfriend missed your party. And it's not that she missed the party. I think so. Like I said, she had been working for about 9 months, I would guess. So you already know that she has either missed or not been completely present for several dinners and get-togethers, and that is evidenced by the dinner that she has with her dad earlier in the movie, that it's completely hijacked when Miranda calls her to get her to fly her out of Miami or wherever the heck she was. So we can already see that in all aspects of her life, Miranda Priestley and her job is taking over everything. And so, like I said, I'm sure she's already missed several parties and several get-togethers and has just not really been there for her friends, or not even for them, but she hasn't been herself. She hasn't communicated with them anything that's been going on. I feel like she kind of felt like she was better than them because she became one of these people that, you know, was looking down on her from the beginning. And so that's why I think, you know, he was so upset that she missed his birthday, because this was planned. She knew it was happening, and she still made the choice to go with Miranda over spending time with him. And it's not that, you know, he's a child and he's mad because you missed my birthday party. I think it had more depth to that, and that was I feel like for him that was kind of a last straw maybe for their relationship. So when I'm pretty sure they weren't broken up by the time that she went to Paris. I don't think they were even on a break.
They were on a break!
Coffee house?
And then another thing with Nate, so we have that whole scene where Miranda is asking the impossible of Andy once again. She wants her to go and get the unpublished Harry Potter book for her twins. Impossible, but Christian Thompson, the Superman of the hour, makes it happen for Andy. And so she is able to succeed and, you know, not lose her job that day. But before that even happened, she had called her boyfriend and was like, oh, this is it, I'm going to lose my job, this is it. So her boyfriend is like not excited that she's gonna lose her job, but he has seen her stress out so much, and he has seen her like cry and just be devastated with everything that Miranda has been asking her to do. And so he's happy that she is going to finally get a break. So as we know, she gets the book, she gives it to the twins, whatever. She doesn't lose her job that day. She goes home. She is doing the science project of her boss's children, which number one is not in the job description of being a personal assistant, and number two is just, that is grossly like, that is Miranda taking advantage of her employees, basically. And so her boyfriend gets home, has a bottle of whatever that they were going to eat, and he sees that she is working on this, and he's like disappointed. He's like, I thought you were gonna work there anymore. I thought you were gonna like pursue something else. And so in that scene, he is not disappointed because she didn't lose her job to pay more attention to him. He was happy that she was going to finally be happier not being at that job. He doesn't dump her. He doesn't make her feel bad for staying. None of that. They even like have a moment at the end of that scene. So I don't understand where this whole unsupportive boyfriend thing is coming from when he has literally done nothing but support her in every moment and aspect of her career up until the point that she cheated on him. And that is the last thing that I wanted to talk about in regards to how, well, second to last. So she literally cheats on him. She goes to Paris because Emily gets run over by a car, cannot go to Paris, so she decides to go to Paris, and she sleeps with that Christian Thompson guy, the guy who, you know, was flirting with her and who helped her get the Harry Potter book. She was not drunk. She was fully, if not mostly sober when they were having their little romantic stroll down a Paris street or whatever. And so she makes the decision to cheat on her boyfriend and sleep with this fancy guy who she realizes in the morning doesn't really care about her. She realizes that he's kind of the enemy because he is working with that French lady who's trying to take over Miranda's, the whole subplot of the movie. But basically she cheats on her boyfriend. And infidelity, in my eyes, is something that is not, that is a complete stab in the back. That is like a slap in the face of trust. Like, you cannot trust. I don't understand how people come back for that. For me, that would not be something that I could come back from. That is, I don't care if I've been with you for 5 months, 5 years, 10 years, 15. It is over. That is not okay on any... It's just not okay. So the last thing that I wanted to talk about, and the final thing that I wanted to talk about, was that scene in the car with Miranda when they are on their way to whatever it was. And it's at this point that Andy has already seen that Miranda did not give that job to Stanley Tucci's character. She gave it to the French lady so that she could keep her own job. She saw ultimately that Miranda is not, you know, somebody who does anything for other people. That she, not that Miranda is selfish, because that is, Miranda Priestley is a whole nother video that I could make. She is a business driven woman. She does not have favorites. She doesn't, you know, do things because she has friends. Like, that's just not who she is as a person and as a character and as the person who owns or whatever runway. She's not that person. And so Andy finally sees that when Stanley Tucci's character does not get the job, and she is in the car with her. They're going to the next thing, and Andy is talking to Miranda, and Miranda actually says, what does she say? About how everybody wants to be us, referring to Miranda and Andy and like everybody in the industry, I think. And so originally that line was supposed to be everybody wants to be me, but Meryl Streep actually asked to change that line to us. And I think I read somewhere her reasoning for that. I tried looking it up, I couldn't find it.
Everybody wants to be us.
But my interpretation of that line change is she says everybody wants to be us. So what she means by that is not everybody wants to be Meryl Streep's character, not everybody wants to run this business, but everybody wants to be a part of something more. They want to be a part of a not necessarily a business, maybe even a movement. They want to be part of something bigger than themselves. They want to have the nice clothes. They want to have the nice status. They want to know all the nice people. They want to be involved in something that is culturally iconic in the fashion industry. They want to be part of something bigger, basically. And so that was my interpretation of what Meryl Streep or Miranda said in that scene. And I feel like that was evidenced by the very beginning of the movie when we are seeing Andy get ready for her job interview. She eats a random bagel. She just has her hair down. She puts on a frumpy blue sweater, which is the topic of one of the most iconic monologues in movie history, if I do say so myself. But when we are seeing the opening of that movie, we're not seeing Miranda Priestley. We're not seeing Emily, for that matter. We're seeing all of the other girls who are other assistants who work at the bottom of the industry. We're seeing all the other model-esque girls get ready, do their hair, do their makeup, put on something nice, eat like 5 almonds. We're seeing these girls who are so fashionable and who are so, they look the part, but what we don't realize is that they are actually also kind of at the bottom. They are the assistants and they are the, you know, the desk workers of the industry. When Andy first gets to the office, she doesn't even know who Miranda Priestley is. So that line that Miranda says in that opening scene, I feel like they coincide with each other. They kind of back each other up, because it's true. When you see these fancy people in their nice clothes and their makeup and they're like super skinny, like you want to be a part of that. You want to be a part of anything that will get you close to what that is. And I think that's what Miranda was saying. And then I believe that Andy came to the realization after Miranda told her that, and after she said that I could never do what you did to Stanley Tucci's character. I forget his name. But Miranda's like, you already did. You did it to Emily. And so Andy has the realization that she has been making these choices to further herself, to further, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. I don't want people to take away that, you know, you shouldn't be making decisions to further yourself. You should, but not at the expense of the people who have got you there. Not at the expense of your boyfriend who has been supporting you, not at the expense of your best friend who has also been supporting you and is just your best friend, and not at the expense of the other assistant who has basically taught you everything you need to know. Whether or not she did it with an attitude, she helped her get to where she needed to be. And so by dismissing all of these people, she realized that she was just like Miranda, and she also realized that she did not want to be just like Miranda. So that's when she makes the decision to leave. So that scene in the car is actually, you know, where Andy has this epiphany and where she realizes who she is and who she wants to be, and who she currently is not who she wants to be. So we see at the end of the movie, when she finally goes back to New York, she quits her job, she goes to actually pursue journalism, which is what she wanted to do in the first place. She has a conversation with her boyfriend, and I honestly think that Nate was too forgiving, because he tells her, oh yeah, I got another job, and you know, they basically insinuate that they might try their relationship again, or they might try, you know, being together again, which I feel like was a lot, but I mean, whatever. I also kind of wish it was another scene with her best friend, just so we can get a little bit of closure with that, but you can guess that maybe they kind of, that Andy apologized to her and that they were friends again, whatever. So like I said, there are so many other things that I could talk about in this movie, but the basic takeaway that I took from it is that you just need to stay true to yourself, and if you don't, you will suffer the consequences. And in this case, it was Andy trying to be the best assistant that Miranda Priestley could ever have, at the expense of losing trust with her boyfriend, possibly, you know, hurting some part of her relationship with her best friend. So basically, at the end of the day, you really just need to prioritize the things in your life that truly matter. If you cannot live without something today, tomorrow, then don't choose something that's going to possibly take that thing away. And so in this case, it was her, like I said, choosing to be the perfect assistant over being the good, the nice girlfriend and friend. And of course, none of this is to say that you shouldn't further your career, that you shouldn't, you know, do anything like that, but you need to be conscious of, you know, the people that are around you that support you and that love you. Because if you betray that to get money, to get status, to get something else, then you are going to get that and be lonely. You're not going to have, you know, what it is that truly matters, and that is, you know, the love of your family and your friends and your significant other, because that is what is waiting for you when you come home. That is what is going to be there when you are lowest, not, you know, Miranda Priestley. And Andy learns this because they get another assistant really quick. She learns that she needs to ultimately do what is best for her, because she learns that in the industry, she was a really, really good assistant. Miranda really, really liked her, even though she never told her. But ultimately, she was replaceable. And that's kind of what I took away the most from that, is that you need to ultimately do what is best for you. And to be grateful for the people that support you and that love you, because you are not replaceable to them. To your employer, to whatever else that you're prioritizing, you are replaceable, but not to, you know, the things that matter. So that's basically all I wanted to say. I have no idea how long this video is. Hi, my camera died and I'm talking on my iPhone now. But yeah, basically the last thing that I wanted to say was that all of this comes from a place of love. I absolutely adore this movie. Like I said at the beginning, it is one of my favorite movies of all time. And I love Andy as a character. I think she is a perfect example of a flawed female character. And I think that there's a lot to learn from her. Because, you know, not every main character needs to be the epitome of perfection. They can be somebody with flaws. The female character, they can be somebody who, you know, has to learn something throughout the movie, and learn how to be better for themselves, and not learn how to, and learn that they were the ones causing damage, rather than trying to basically, heal from something that somebody else did to them. So I thought that this was a great movie for people to watch, especially if you are younger and you're like your early 20s and you're going into a job, or you're going into even a relationship. If you're going, you know, not that I would know, but I just think that you can learn a lot from this movie, and it has, you know, you can learn a lot from this movie, but it also is just so aesthetically pleasing. There's so much fashion and beauty, and New York is filthy, but in the movies they make it look really cool. And so there's just a lot in this movie that I think people overlook, and it's not just like another chick flick. I think it's a really special movie. Anne Hathaway and Stanley Tucci are two of my absolute favorite actors, and so seeing them in this movie together is just an added bonus. So I'm not gonna say probably, because knowing me, I'm just lazy. I really want to do more videos though. I have a bunch of ideas. I just sneezed. There's a lot of like tag ones that I can do. I have a video of underrated movies. Oh my god, I want to make a whole video, possibly with my brother, about the movie Van Helsing with Hugh Jackman, because that is just one of my favorite movies, and it is severely underrated, I think. So if you guys have seen Van Helsing and you want to see me do a video about it, let me know, because I probably will anyways. Yeah, there's a lot of like tag videos. If there's any tag videos you want to watch to see me answer, I love answering questions about myself, so I would be more than happy to do that. I actually have a video idea for the most disappointing show I've ever seen, and again, all these opinions come from a place of love. I would not be making videos and doing all of this if I didn't love analyzing TV and movies and stuff. So if you guys want to know what that is, the most disappointing show I've seen is Penny Dreadful. So if you want to know why, let me know in the comments and I can do a video about that. Thank you all so much for watching. This may not get any more than 5 views, but that's fine. I hope you guys are all staying safe and staying indoors and staying happy. And I will see you in my next video, hopefully. Bye.
Was the
That's all.
exploitation